In this how-to guide for Viva, we are going to walk through the process of creating a new regulatory action and moving it through the approval process for a non-data submission. The example that I'm going to be using is for the registration transfer process from Bear to InView. However, this process will be applicable for all non-data submissions moving forward. So we're going to begin in the registration and go to the regulatory actions. We'll create a new regulatory action and fill in the applicable data. Once the applicable information is filled in, for this example, we've selected entity change, and because this is non-data, I've selected general documents without a binder. If you are submitting data, you will select an option so that you will always create a binder. You will hit save. You can tell now that we are in the regulatory action side of the registration because there is now a hyphenated number at the end of the registration. So this denotes that we are in the fourth regulatory action for this registration. I'm going to be submitting a label, which will be talked about in a separate video, and administrative documents for this submission. However, if other things need to be submitted, like specification changes, a declaration of composition changes, production site information, that information will be documented in these sections here, and you can ask any of the Viva team members about questions, or there will be other videos on how to do that. But for this video, we're going to be focusing on the dossiers and how to move the regulatory action through that process. So we are going to begin there by moving into the dossier section. You can make changes to your title by simply clicking here and making your changes. So you can see I've filled in my title and my competent authority. You also can drag and drop columns if you would like to move things. And then I'm going to right click and open this dossier in a new tab. We are now in the dossier of this regulatory action, and we do not have a binder because, as I said, we're not submitting data. If you did, that would show up here. We're going to now add the documents that will be associated with this submission in the administrative documents section here by selecting the Add button. These documents are not currently in Viva, so I'm going to select Create and upload them. Once you have selected the documents from your hard drive and drug them over to Viva, you can only select one document type if you are uploading more than one document. So for this, I am only selecting one document type. These are all application forms and part of my pesticide registration. So I'm going to select Next. We're going to fill out the information, and when you have all the documents selected, you can fill out the information and apply it to all the documents, then go back and make small edits to save time. I will do this with the screen paused and then come back and explain. So I've filled out my information. I used the registration number, the product name, called this administrative documents for the registration transfer, used today's date, my name. The notation type and notation subtype are a carryover from Bear and will be used more for data submissions and study reports. This is for use mostly in the country, in the territory of the United States. This would not be a form that would be used globally. Direct release is yes. Language, English. The layout, the format, none of this. Ownership, you may select InView if you would like. However, this is again more study related, and we plan to drill down on these fields once all the data has been transferred. However, as you're filling out this information, remember, the more you fill out, the better, and you are the expert here. No one is coming behind you and going to check you. So please fill out what you think is appropriate and important. Confidential, no. Issuing organization, InView. MRID number will be something that will be applicable only to the United States. Number of pages, these all actually are 2. The product is very important to fill out. And the specification and batch will be more related to studies, and again will probably be tiered down once we migrate into the production system. The regulatory action, I place the action that we are working on, and I'm going to hit apply. By hitting apply, this updates all 4 documents with this information. If I want to make changes to a particular document, I can click on simply one and then change this to maybe just say cover letter. And I will only make changes to that. So if you want to make changes to one document only, you can do that and make specific changes to that one document, but it saves you time for filling in all of the other metadata. Next, I'm going to hit save, and this will upload our documents into our administrative documents section. You see now our documents that we need for this submission have been uploaded directly into our dossier, and they are all in the draft state. So they now need to be released for submission. There is two ways that I'm going to show to do this today. There's more ways than that, but for today I'm going to show two examples. The first way is to do this in bulk. So we're going to return to the documents section. And I'm going to search for the regulatory action. Because we tagged those documents with the regulatory action, they are going to show up. I'm going to add 3 of the 4 to my cart. And the reason I only added 3 was because I want to show you the other way to do a release with the other document. So here the 3 documents are in my cart, and I want to now go to the 3 action dots, bulk perform all 3 documents, select next, manage documents, change state, next, and then select the second start direct release. We will update this after production, and then hit finish. So this is going to start the direct release process for these 3 documents, and they will be released. So we can now return back to our dossier. So I'm going to open this again in a new tab, and 3 of those 4 documents will now be released. However, we left the one still in draft so that I can show you the other option to release. So you can see the 3 have been released. And we want to now move this one. So if you hover over the one that has not been released and is still in draft, you can pop this out into a new window. This will open it, and you can release it directly from here. You can now see this document is released. So if you want, you can do each document individually that way as well. Now we can see that all of our documents have been released, and we're ready to return to our regulatory action. We're now back in our regulatory action out of the dossier, and we will cover how to add a label to the regulatory action in a separate video, as the labels have a different lifecycle state process and version control process that needs to be covered a bit more in detail. But I do want to add one to this regulatory action, as that will be part of the process for most countries and for most submissions. So that is now added. We have a label, and we have all of our supporting dossiers. So you will review everything, and then we can now move this action to submitted. So here we can change the state to submitted. We'll enter the submission date as today, and then expect the approval date to be in a few months. When you move the regulatory action to submitted, you can see that the lifecycle states of the related objects are automatically changed. So the label was changed to submitted, as well as the dossier. You can also see that the date in the dossier was also automatically updated. This only works if there's only one dossier. If there's more than one dossier, so more than one competent authority, which we will have a separate video on as well, this action does not work automatically and has to be done manually. Typically, from this point in the registration process, the dossier will either be approved and the registration will be moved to the approved state, or changes will need to be made to the label or to other documents in the submission. If that is the case, you can create an additional dossier by copying the record and then changing the title. You can see now that this dossier was submitted, and this one is now in planned. I would then add my documents that need to be added, and then I can move this to submitted once that has been done. Once everything within the regulatory action has been approved and no additional documents need to be submitted, we then need, and we have received the approval information from the agency, we need to update the received documents section with all correspondence from the competent authority regarding this submission. That includes electronic correspondence and the approval letter. So we will do that now by selecting those documents that I have previously uploaded and placing them in the received documents section. Once all of those correspondence and which are the received documents and registration confirmation have been uploaded, we can move the entire regulatory action to approved. We can enter the approval date, and you will see that the label and regulatory action have been approved. If you are working on the transfer of a product, additional steps are required as we need to document that this product was transferred. So in that case, we would document the transfer history here by documenting the historic registration number, historic company, and the transfer date. We would also document the new product involvement by stating the company's involvement with this product. So in this situation, the function would be the registration holder, the company would be in view, and then you would place your contact information here. The last step would be to update the new registration details with the new registration number by selecting the pencil and editing the registration number.